All right, everybody, welcome to today's show. I am here with Cody Wiseman, and Cody is democratizing real estate investment by putting, what do you call them, cohorts together, or uh, there's a better word for that, of people who can invest and enjoy the benefits of investing in real estate, while Cody and his team does the lion's share of the work. So, welcome to the show, Cody.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Mike. Super excited to be here. Yeah, well said. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just pooling our money together, and my team goes to work to find the deal, put the deal together. I'm signing personally on the loan, whereas investors who are co-investing with me, they don't have to sign on the loan and guarantee the loan. So there's some extra benefits to that as well. We're
Sure.
certainly happy to dive into that, but yeah, really the goal here with Wiseman Capital is to help others invest in real estate without having to be an expert or spend a bunch of time doing it.
Yeah.
Just working with passive investors who want to invest in institutional quality assets here, really around Wisconsin, mostly Greater Madison,
Okay.
without all those headaches that come along with it, and that's what me and or I guess my team and I do for them. So.
Cool. So, tell us a little bit about your background story. How'd you get to this point? Why did you start? Like,
Yeah,
start with who
great.
you are and how you got here.
Yep, absolutely. Wisconsin born and raised. So, Midwestern work ethic and stuff like that. I grew up in the home building world. So my dad's a home builder. He does land development. So my summer jobs were swinging a hammer, right? So always around some sort of real
Yep.
estate. He
Yep.
was single family focused. Obviously, I'm multifamily focused, but it's pretty similar, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about a place for people to live, but so I grew up in a very small town and, just exposed to a lot of different things when it comes to work. And I really kind of fell in love with creating places for people to live. Out of high school then, for many years, I was in sales. So, natural transition, right? I mean, I
Right.
grew up
Right.
real estate and was going to be a home builder. And I was like, man, I don't want to be working out in the cold, building houses in the winter. So maybe I'll just go into sales and marketing.
Well,
Um,
probably the last 7 days have reminded you why
yeah,
we'd want.
yep, exactly. So I'm glad there's people that do it because I'm not tough enough to do that part of it
Yeah.
non-stop all around the clock, but they're all around the calendar.
So, what all
Um,
did you sell? What did you start with sales? What was your sales journey?
yeah, so I started off at AT&T, slinging some cell phones and data packages back when that was not everybody had their data plan. I mean, you think, 12, 15 years ago, I mean, that was a home run if you can get somebody to buy internet on their phone.
Yeah. No
Um,
shit.
yeah, so that, and then I did some financial advising. I was there for about a year and I was like, okay, I'm not enjoying selling life insurance to put food on the table. Um, and then went into software sales. I worked for a handful of different startups here, some local Madison companies, and then some based out of California and the East Coast as well. So worked for a handful of different startup companies from all different industries, from social media management software. So
Hmm.
selling, software that Best Buy and Target use to manage their social media platforms. This is
Yeah.
8, 9, 10 years ago now. And
The olden
then,
days.
yeah, I'm really gonna age myself here. Wow, I mean, I've
Isn't that
got my gray coming in my beard here, but
I mean, it's
yeah,
totally bizarre. I told my kid about somebody with long distance. They're like, "What is that?"
yep, yep. So,
Like, oh man.
yeah, so and then, naturally, I mean, let's see, that was probably about 5 years ago. I always wanted to get into rental real estate. I always wanted to own, more properties and stuff like that. And let's
Why
see,
is that? Like, why is that?
there's a lot of driving factors behind that. I guess I just, number one, always looked at like larger buildings and I'm like, man, that'd be cool. I'd
Yeah.
love to own that. And then, from, a human side of it as well, of giving people places to live, right? I haven't done like, office and, industrial and stuff like that. I'm not saying I
Okay.
never would.
Sure.
It's just right now my passion is around creating, good, safe places for people to live that they're happy to call home, and providing that next level service that, you don't always get with a typical rental property, right? Sometimes you get landlords that don't have the best reputation. And so that's also another reason. There's a million reasons. I could just spend this session on why I do what I do. But I don't know if that's as valuable for people to understand my brain, because sometimes it might not make sense sometimes to people, but that's okay.
So you're wrapping up a sales job and you made a decision someday that was, screw this, I'm getting back into housing, or like, how did you start this housing journey?
Yeah. Let's see. So this was back in about 2019, towards the end of 2019. Previous to that, I owned a couple different single family homes that I lived in as my primary, and then sold them. And then at that point, I was renting an apartment downtown Madison on the Capitol Square, not squirrel. There are a lot of squirrels on the Capitol Square. When I walk my dog around that, he'd show me all the squirrels. But yeah, so on the Capitol Square. So and I was like, okay, I want real estate back in my portfolio. I was doing very well selling enterprise software and solutions to large companies like Liberty Mutual and things like that for building their mobile applications, which was, I was actually very passionate about that, because, we were building all sorts of things to help people. I mean, really any mobile app that you would have could use this technology. It was a mobile framework, and not to nerd out too much on that, but like at the end of the day, like when I was trying to like connect more of my why to what I'm doing, and at that time I was very, very, very happy with what I was doing at that time in software, in selling solutions that like to Medtronic and stuff like that actually could help people's health. And then make their life easier. So I was always trying to connect to like the end user, even though like I'm not touching the end user, but like our solution was. So great team and stuff like that. But I didn't want to be sitting at a desk forever. It was it's like, what else can I be doing? And that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to build another home, because number one, I wanted real estate back in my portfolio. And, and then it was COVID as well, as we're, getting into 2020 now, as I'm starting to think, okay, what else can I be doing? Because at that time, then I was looking to build a house and costs were going through the roof. And I'm like, why does a single guy need to, build this big old house? Like that doesn't quite align. Like I should finally buy some rental properties, because I was in the mindset of, okay, I got to do it step by step. I've got to have my primary home, and then I can start investing in real estate. And I was like, when I kind of took a step back, I'm like, that doesn't have to be done that way.
That's right.
And I was reading all sorts of different books and stuff like that too, and listening to different podcasts. And I'm like, man, I really think I want to buy a rental property. And so I was going to do a single family home, and reach out to my buddy Tony Tucci, who's a realtor here in the greater Madison area. I know Tony. Yeah, everybody knows Tony. Tony Tucci, he's a rock star. And so he sold the previous two homes that I had built in the past too. So he's really the only person at that time that I knew in real estate. So I'd call him up and say, hey, I wanted to buy a rental. My deal thing is to buy kind of a fixer upper single family, fix it up, refinance, and rent it and do it again. Because that's kind of what I was learning from these podcasts. It's this BRRRR method, right? Yep. Buy it and rehab and refinance and rent and repeat and all that stuff. And none of the numbers were working out. So I said, Tony, I want to go a little bit larger. What else do you have? He's like, well, there's a deal in the guy in my office. Somebody's got a 3-unit downtown Madison that they are thinking about selling. They wouldn't really want to put it on the market. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. So it took about a couple months to kind of like work through that and get to see the property. And I remember putting that under contract, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, I really didn't, like I said, I didn't know really anybody that owned multifamily properties at that time. And through, let's see. So Tony then introduced me to our insurance guy at that time, or, he's insured some other stuff for us, Jason Gutenberg. And then Ryan Schmitz with the Hub Realty, his name came up. And so I just started having conversations, and it turns out Ryan and his team at the Hub Realty are, the biggest multifamily brokers in South Central Wisconsin, and had a ton of off-market deals. So I'm like, okay, this guy is who I need to be networking with and learning with. And fast forward now 4 years, we now all share an office. I just walked across the hallway from our accountant that we all, partner with.
So you built your ecosystem instead of milling around, like you said, step by step by step.
Yeah.
Jumping to multifamily then caused you to say, okay, now I need to fill my, your Rolodex with the right people.
Yeah, I got very comfortable, I guess, jumping out of the sky and trying to build the plane as I'm falling out of the sky. Sure. And somehow I landed.
Parachute.
Yep. Somehow I landed, and I keep continuing to do that over and over, and learn and connect with the right people who have done this before. And so I guess fast forwarding then, so we got that 3 unit. I with my handy, background and upbringing, I
Sure.
had all these tools that I was excited to put back to use. So I was still working full time in software sales, and bought that 3 unit vacant, right? So it was owner occupied. Those people were moving out. 1 unit was coming vacant, and then there was a lady who was a complete hoarder. I don't even know how she was living in one of the units. So I arranged that when the day I bought the property was going to be vacant, and I could start rehab on that right away because it needed some work.
Sure.
So I did, 85-90% of the work myself, brought in an electrician to make a couple little changes, and a plumber to add a washer dryer unit in one of the units, leased it up, refinanced it, pulled that money out. So I did that BRRRR method, but just on a larger scale. Then bought a 4 unit, brought my dad in as a partner because he was starting to look at some stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm going to keep buying stuff. So Ryan and Tony both actually kind of knew of this 4 unit deal, so they kind of worked together on that, and so we bought that, and then a 12 unit, and now fast forward, we've got a 129 unit that we just opened up here this summer that we converted an old hotel into 129 apartments on the east side of Madison. So things can happen very quickly. The one thing that I then did back in November of 22 is I started a meetup. The Madison Multifamily Meetup, which is now the largest multifamily investor meetup in the Midwest. I mean, we've got the next one next week. I'm not sure when this airs or will be put out there, but November 18th. And so we're, today Friday, so a few days away. Yeah. And we've got about 250 people signed up for that. So we get, 200 to 300 investors from all across the Midwest that are coming to this on like a quarterly event, where it's really about networking and connecting and helping others, I guess, connect to success in multifamily. So very good networking event. And then there's always an educational component. But it's a free event to everybody that attends. I'm very grateful to have wonderful sponsors who, we host this at the Madison Club. You get drink tickets, you get hors d'oeuvres, you get top-notch education, about a 30-minute presentation and stuff like that, or 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what the topic is. But so we're trying to hit on all of those things, whether if you're a brand new person, just woke up that morning thinking, maybe I want to buy some real estate, but I don't know how, or you're buying your 200th property and you've been doing this for 40 years, or you're in the industry, you're a lender, you're a property manager, you're a contractor. I was just talking to somebody, they do roofing and siding. I'm like, you guys should come to this event because there's hundreds of property owners here. I'd always be curious. I'd like to try to figure out a way on how many units people own in that room.
Well, when you do your next registration, just ask them and add them all up.
Yeah. I should do that because I do ask a question.
It's an interesting thing because when we were looking, back when we had both working in Madison and Milwaukee, we, would have 50 businesses, and we're like, oh, well, we got 50 businesses, right?
Yep.
Well, the average revenue for the businesses back then was just under $2 million. I'm like, holy shit, we have $100 million of revenue here.
Yeah.
And so talking with sponsors and people who should be there, we're like, hey, what would it take to be in front of $100 million of revenue? This is a unique opportunity. I think for those of you listening, though, what you should take out of this is you can get off your butt and go make something happen, right? You created the ecosystem. You decided what you wanted to do.
Yep.
Went out and started with just one, right? Just Tony as the person. and now you have this big thriving group of people.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of times people are scared to do that. So would you say you just don't experience that type of fear, or just said, I need to solve this and I'm going to go do it? Or like, how did you get that all done?
Um, there's a lot of fear and a lot of self-doubt. And even to this day, like, no, I'm not up here, or like I no, I just like everybody else, right? I mean, you've got, shit, can I do this? Imposter syndrome, you name it.
Yeah,
Um, so no, that I still felt that, but I would say, I'm a Wiseman, right? Cody Wiseman, but I'm too stupid to quit, and I just keep going.
yeah,
It just kind of clicked. I don't know why. I'm sure grateful that it did years ago, where I'm like, I'm just going to do this and figure it out. And that's kind of been the mentality, right? Is like surrounding myself with good people that I can learn from my mistakes. Um, in I'm also very hands-on too. I mean, I managed,
okay,
you know, I managed the first couple of properties I did in my own, and then I, outsourced it to a third party, as I continued to grow. And now October 1st brought property management in-house for Sandburg Studios. So now we've got our in-house property management. So I've got an on-site property manager out there. So now that's going to give us better control of the deal, and we've already seen such an improvement. And not that third
sure.
parties bad. I'm not saying third parties a bad thing, um, or
But they're
that the
not in-house.
yeah,
It's
exactly
not the
right. I mean,
same. Yeah.
it's not the same. If I was still working a W-2 like I was, and I had 19 units, then when I was like, okay, I need this property manager to do this for me. I can't be fixing toilets at 1 o'clock in the
Right.
afternoon when I'm on a sales call. But now this is my full-time thing, so like this is my life. And
Yeah.
that's why people are investing alongside of me, is because they know I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I've had partners say that too. And in fact, the last property manager, the property manager that had Sandburg before, has even said that too. He's like, you're going to do anything it takes to make this property successful. Like, I have no doubt in that. Because that wasn't an easy transition, right? Going from,
Right. Yeah.
a person I really, respect and like, to bringing that in-house, because it's just a different level of ownership for the people who are on site when they're directly, I guess, tied to the property and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, back to your original question. No, I did not have this answer of, I know how to do this, I've got the cheat sheet. No, far from,
Yeah.
far. Um,
So how does somebody invest with you? Like,
Great.
they just fill out your website at wisemancapital.com, right?
Yeah. So yeah, wisemancapitalgroup.com. Anybody who invests with me, I always, I don't just take a blind investment, right? You can't do that with me. I always do, when I'm, whether if it's like a joint venture deal where it's, one other partner I'm bringing on a deal, or if I'm bringing 40 partners in on a deal,
Yep.
need to know who they are and have a relationship ahead of time, and make sure that we kind of jive, right? I want them to know my work ethic and style, and have trust in that. And because let me tell you, real estate or any business or anything in life is never going to be 100% perfect and smooth. There's going to be some hiccups, there's
Right.
going to be some challenges, and you want, to be working with somebody who's going to, trust you in those times, and let you, trust that you're going to do what's right for this property or this business or this scenario.
Sure.
And you don't want to have to be, as you're going through a hiccup or a roadblock, and working through that, and having an investor like, why are you doing this? What, like, no, we should
Right.
have trust ahead of time.
Somebody who doesn't know the game, but they have all kinds of opinions.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, I don't just allow, I guess, anybody. I've had turned some people away that just, what the investment at the time wasn't right for that. Like, it just, well, they wanted to, but it just wasn't the right fit,
And do
for
they
their
do
goals.
does somebody have to be experienced before they would reach out to you? Like if it was somebody who's like, I really want real estate in my portfolio, but I don't want to own a house.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah.
a
So
fit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've got well, so backing up real quick. So I mean, a lot of times what you'll see is you have to be an accredited investor.
Right. Yep.
And there's very sophisticated investors who are not accredited because you know, the way that the government looks at it is you need to have $1 million net worth or a $200,000 a year income for the last couple of years with projected that, or if you're married, a combined 300. But for
Right.
that $1 million net worth, you can't count your single or your primary residence. Well, a lot of people have a lot of equity tied up, so they're worth, you know, $1.2 million, let's say, but well, 400 of that is in their house, so they're only worth
Right.
800 in the eyes of the government. But where I'm going with that is with since I know all of my investors and have a relationship prior to them, I do what's called a 506B. So you do not need to be accredited to invest alongside of me. So that's kind of a unique thing that I have too. Now there is only a limited amount of spots that you can have per opportunity. That's all
Right.
set by the SEC, but we work, you know, I work with an SEC attorney to draft the PPM and the operating documents and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a legit, like there's good paperwork that, you know, I always encourage people to review. It is an investment. There is a risk.
Yeah.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows and everything always goes perfect. And you know, like, no, I mean, I've got gray beard and bags under
Yeah.
my eyes because I front a lot of the stress and those decisions. And that's the other value too, is like I said, a passive investor co-investing with me alongside of me doesn't have to deal with those headaches. And
Yeah.
that's another reason why I do what I do. I don't want people to have to deal with some of the shit that we do. Like
Yeah. I mean,
it's,
there's one thing about real estate is they aren't making any more of it.
yep, yep,
Like,
yep.
and uh, while you do need your eyes open because, you know, I've talked to tons of people who got themselves over leveraged
Hmm.
and almost without exception, their whole thing is I wish I would have had enough money to keep it because now it's worth, you know, 8 times what I sold it for.
Yep.
And, you know, paying attention to uh, the carrying cost is a critical thing because there's never in over a long period of time real estate doesn't devalue. I
Yep.
mean, maybe whatever if you get a big chemical waste spill, but
Yeah.
the average real estate in the U.S. is not going down. It's never going to go down.
As long as it's
So
operated well.
yeah, yeah, yep,
But yep. In the long run, yeah, absolutely. And that is, you know, the other thing too with investing, you know, alongside of me in Wiseman Capital is my money's going in first and it comes out last as well, right? So like I'm not just, you know, I've had a lot of opportunities over the last year and a half that I've been working on this 129 units. I haven't done another deal since I bought that last May, got it opened in June, and we're still, you know, we're in the lease up and operations piece of it. Early next year, I would like to have another deal, you know, going.
sure,
But a lot of people, you know, every time I see somebody, oh, what's your next deal? Like, what are you working on? I'm like, I'm working on making sure that this is operating the way that it needs to, because I mean, this is like, we just took a rundown hotel and turned it
yeah,
into 129 luxury affordable apartment. Like that's a big thing. And then now the operations piece and stuff like that. So like the operations is really where it's made, right? I mean, anybody can kind of go and buy a deal, and you got to be able to
right,
operate, which is another reason that we, you know, started the in-house property management is to make sure that we're very like on top of stuff, you know, not being
yeah,
reactive but being proactive. I had a meeting with my property manager yesterday, um, yesterday evening, and we're making some change. We're like, okay, I think, you know, looking ahead to December, I think we should make these tweaks because of this and like what's going on in the market here. So like we're not just sitting and waiting until, you know, mid-December, be like, oh
yeah,
shit, should we do this for the rest of the month? Like, no, let's try to get ahead of that and get these units, you know, filled up and leased till next summer. So we're not in the middle of the, you know, like just that kind of strategy and in
yep,
real time decisions. Um, you know, you also don't want to
yep,
be making so many decisions that you're just, you know, pivoting, doing a
yes,
circle.
yeah,
You know, it's okay to pivot sometimes and like, but like you have to be very quick on this stuff. And, you know, back to the operations is where, you know, success is going to really be amplified. So
which was my next question, and you've already answered it. What's the next big thing?
yeah. Getting the property management in Sandburg Studios exactly where we want it. We're a little bit ahead of schedule in pace, which is great, but that just means we're going to double down and get there even faster.
Yeah,
And then yeah, the goal is to do another project, whether it's like a value add, or I mean, I'm really having fun with some development piece of it as well. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not just chasing a deal to do a deal, right? Like it
Yeah.
has to make sense. I have to believe in it, because there's a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of work that goes into these projects, and a lot of people's money, my money, my my entire net worth. Like I'm signing a
Sure.
personal guarantee on these loans. So yeah, there's that's why I'm not doing a bunch of projects at one time right now. Maybe
Yeah.
one day, because I'm still building out a team, and like figuring out, okay, what is the best way to do this, in like, where do we want to go? It's not about chasing and getting to 10,000 units, because I've got an ego or something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
I'd rather do one project at a time that I'm like extremely passionate and believe in, and have
I mean,
people enjoy that journey alongside of me.
the way that you describe it sounds like you didn't go fast, but I think most people that are listening to this, the first 3 unit in 2020, 2019, did you say?
I think I closed on that one in beginning of 21. I think it
So
was,
from
yeah,
three units in 21 to 129 unit in 2025, I'd say most people probably think you're going pretty quick. And
100,
I think like
at 141 units, just to,
I mean just one deal of 129 from three.
yeah,
That's what, 60, 40 times,
yeah,
40
yeah,
times bigger in 3 years. So
yeah.
I think the message, if you're listening, is you can do great things and still be methodical about it. If you
Mhm.
start with a big goal, if you start with a bigger opportunity, because tons of owners think about playing small to start with, right? Like
Mhm.
they fall prey to the imposter syndrome or what have you, but they just choose not to deal with it and grow through it anyway, or don't
Mhm.
get help from somebody, right? So I have one
Yeah.
other question for you that I never let anybody know I'm going to ask it. And that question is there a question that you wished I would have asked you? And if there is, consider it asked.
You know, no, I mean, doing podcasts and interviews like this, I always just enjoy the conversation. I mean, there's a million things in different routes that we could kind of go down, and rabbit holes and stuff like that. But
Right.
no, no, not really. I mean, there's
Okay.
not like a question like, oh, why didn't Mike ask this? I really wanted to highlight this about myself. No,
Okay.
whatever you think the audience would want to know. If there's a question that you think somebody listening might wish you asked, feel free to ask that. I mean,
Yeah. No, I mean we coach people through, wealth building and using their business. So the three classes of investment we talk about are real estate, business, and shares or the market.
Mhm.
And I happen to love the business side, but I also understand, you know, spreading risk around, and I really do believe that real estate, like there's X amount of it, and some of our clients are working on increasing the value. I mean, we've worked with people who did nothing but connect buyers and sellers, or
Yeah.
developers and sellers. But I just want people to see there's other ways other than I got to go do all the work of buying my first house, that they can get invested in real estate. And actually, with Wiseman Capital Group, it's not like buying Bill Gates's thing or whoever created the front door or whatever they call it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
appreciate you
mean,
being on the show. Oh,
yeah, I
go
was going
ahead.
to say, the other thing too that a lot of people don't know is, with investing alongside of us, is it doesn't have to just be cash, right? I mean, we also take, there's self-directed IRAs, which, a lot of
Sure.
you guys probably know about with being, business owners and stuff like that. But there's a way taking an old 401k or IRA that you could also passively invest as well. So it opens up some other options for people as well, to kind of get their feet wet. And, I mean, it doesn't have to be a $500,000 investment. I mean, typically it's 50,000 minimum. Um, So
Sure.
there's that. And then, I mean, with investing, mostly, I guess I don't know where all your listeners are at, but, a lot of investors are pretty local, that like to actually stop by and show, I've walked them through the property,
Yeah.
as we're, developing it, as, as the project opened up. We did a sneak peek, right? 2 weeks before we opened, did tacos and tours and had a big
For
event out
Sandburg?
there. For Sandburg, yeah. So like I like to, have that experience myself and also give it to other people of like, this is your like we did this
Yeah.
together. I did some
Yeah.
walkthroughs and had another guy and he's like, this is what he was doing like a Facebook Live and he's like, this is what Cody did. I was like, no, this is what we did. He's like, well,
Yeah.
I'm just small investor. It's like, yeah, but without that small investment of 50,000,
We don't do this.
we didn't. Yeah, that doesn't turn into 3.1 million doesn't just fall out of the sky, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. You get 50,000, 300,000, like it all adds up, and everybody's contribution is equally as important to make stuff like this happen. And I guess just the feedback on our current tenants and the reviews and people are loving it, which
Yeah.
is that's the most rewarding thing is knowing what it used to be and what it is today. So that's another rewarding thing. So but yeah.
All right, Cody. Thank you for your time today. It was great to learn more about what Wiseman Capital Group's doing, and just fun to talk to business owners who go make shit happen. So
Absolutely.
appreciate your time.
Love it. Thanks, Mike. Good talking
All
to you.
right. Have a good week.
You too. Thanks.